Yay, we're live. Hi, everybody. Yay. Paul and I decided that we were going to have a hangout today. So hi, everyone. I am Shannon Q from the Shannon Q channel. And today I have Paulogia with me. If anybody hasn't heard of Paulogia, he's kind of okay. I've heard of him. He's all right or whatever. Paul, why don't you introduce yourself really quick? Let people know who you are in case they don't know, and then I'll go into channel updates really quick, and then we'll take questions and stuff. We're gonna do a little Q&A today.
I'm Paulogia. I have a YouTube channel which is named Paulogia, Paulogia. I also, I'm best known for helping Shannon make her videos. Sometimes I do some editing for her. So
yeah, that's what you're best known for.
Yeah.
For those people who don't know who Paulogia is, he's my editor. That's his claim to fame. That's the one thing that everybody knows. That's the one thing that everybody knows. And that's the only thing that he's ever done that's actually important. So,
correct.
So the first thing I'm going to start with is just a couple little channel updates. So I was trying to post a video a week. Posting a video a week has proven a little bit difficult for me for a couple of reasons. Reason one is I'm a single mom and I work a full-time job, and the videos, when I'm posting them, they involve a great deal of research. So I do everything that I can to go in depth into the peer-reviewed research when I'm compiling everything to create these videos, and that takes some time. So the weeks that I do have my son here with me, I dedicate my time to him, so it doesn't give me a lot of time in the evenings. And on the off weeks, I try to do everything I can. So it's probably going to be every 2 weeks that I post a video, and it's just because I want to make sure that I'm doing the best job on those videos. The second thing is I know about my frame rates. One of the more common comments that I get is, that my frame rate's difficult to deal with or watch, or that it's jerky, or that there's some issues with sound. So I'm dealing with some older equipment. I have started a Patreon. If you want to contribute to the channel, feel free to contribute to the channel. I'm saving up to get a laptop. Hopefully that will help with that. But until then, just bear with me. I am doing everything I can, but unfortunately, try as we might, there's not a lot that we can do to combat the frame rate issue. So just please understand that I know, but there's just not a lot I can do about it right now with the technology that I have, but we're working on it. Okay. So everybody who is a Patreon or patron, thank you. We're accumulating all of that so that we can get some new equipment, and thank you. So that's the first thing, to get that out of the way. The next channel announcement is this week. I am going to be on Thursday having a live stream with actually, it's going to be pretty interesting because it is a Christian who also has a degree, is actually working, I think, either on his master's or his PhD in psychology. And I'll give you the name of his channel. I just have to look it up. Just bear with me one sec. I should have been a little bit more prepared. It's called Modern Day Hysteria is the name of his channel. I believe his name is James. So if you want to look up his channel, he was watching the video that I just posted, the video that was on the myth of the unhappy atheist. And he had some questions about some of the peer review research, and he and I are going to go over that together on Thursday. So keep an eye out for that. I'll probably post the link the day before. And I think that's it for channel announcements for me. I see Paul's already trolling the live chat. So I guess we'll ask if
I have a video coming out this week.
Oh, am I allowed to say though what your video is?
You can say whatever you want.
Am I allowed to say who's in the video this week? Am I really? Am I allowed to say when
it'll be an exclusive for your viewers. Sure.
Is it good? Am I allowed to say who's in the video though?
Yeah, you can.
And that it's coming out when it's coming out?
Yeah.
Okay. So Paul's posting a video tomorrow about the it's a ham and egg news video, and it's going to have Aaron Ra and Seth Andrews in it, both together. I'm pretty excited about it. I just watched it. It's really, 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 really good. It's coming out tomorrow. So everybody, tomorrow it'll be out. Don't tell anybody though. It's a secret. Shh. Don't tell anybody. I'm so excited. I listened to the raw audio, and it was really, really, really good. And then I watched the edited version, and oh my, it was even better. You did such a good job. Don't tell him I said that though, because he's not allowed to know that I think that he does a good job at things.
No, that'd be awful.
All right. Oh, Gage is like, ah! I know, Gage. It's exciting. I'm excited too. All right. So we will open up to questions. You guys have to tag me if you have a question though, because I'm really bad at paying attention to the live chat. I will try to watch. Hello.
There's a question from Chaosism.
Oh, okay.
I haven't checked Patreon, but do you have an idea for what kind of equipment you're gunning for?
Me? Yeah. I need a new laptop. So I'm not tech savvy at all. That's why I have Paul. Paul does my editing for me because I am not even almost tech savvy. Like I have a Yeti, so obviously that's decent, and I have a good camera, the camera that I film on, but for whatever reason with my computer, the frame rate seems to slow down and Paul has trouble syncing the audio to it at all. And it won't work for Google Hangouts because I'm operating off of just like an ancient, really, it's an old Mac. It was Paul's old Mac, as a matter of fact. So thanks, Paul, for the computer. Not to crap on the computer. I feel bad because it was a gift, but it's not great if you're going to be a content creator for making stuff. It's just it runs really slow and it crashes quite a bit, and it'll only work if it doesn't even hold a charge for 15 seconds. So the other day I was going on a live stream on the non-sex show, and the live stream had to stop and then not go on air because I didn't realize that the cord had detached from it and my computer just died because it only holds a charge for a max of 15 minutes like that. So I get it. I don't know what kind of laptop I need. I just know that I need a better one than this. I'll probably investigate more as I get closer to.
Sure. And honestly, anything, her computer is like 15 years old. So the fact that it does anything at all.
It's a miracle.
It's more of a miracle. So literally anything in the next, anything that came out this year of any kind would be fine.
Or like 5 years ago.
Even the last 5 years.
Anything at all would be better than this. It's just that I feel bad because I get so many comments that are like, your frame rate is makes this unwatchable. And I don't know how to, I can't. I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can. It takes me so long to do all the research and stuff. And I feel like I get to the point that I've done all the research and I've done all of the scripting and I've made a cohesive package, and it's something that I can be proud of. And then it's technology that's getting in my way. And it sucks that that's a barrier. But it is what it is, and I'm hoping that people can look past it. So and just close your eyes and listen to the audio. It's just as good, right? Who cares about my face? Just do this if the frame rate's hard.
That's absolutely not true. That's not.
Just close your eyes and just listen. It's the same. It's the same experience. I promise.
That's my videos. You can.
We have actual questions.
Yeah. Jason Polero wants to know, have you not shot Paul with his nonstop random knowledge of George Lucas and Britney Spears?
I didn't know he had random knowledge of Britney Spears, but the George Lucas stuff, I just go to my happy place a lot of the time when he's talking. Although I did buy a Star Wars shirt for the very first time. I'm Team Trek. So this is a rough relationship, to be perfectly honest with you. But I went to see Solo with him and I bought a Star Wars shirt just to wear, just for him. I did it. It had the little robot guy and the other little robot guy.
It's got the trash can robot and the
round robot. It had the circle robot and the trash can robot. It had those are only two robots, right? That's probably all the robots. Those are all the relevant robots in Star Wars. Right. There are no other ones that matter. Okay, I gotta put my glasses back on. I've got a question. What do you think about atheists mobbing people? Is it ever justified? I don't think mobbing people is ever justified, whether it's atheist or otherwise. I haven't heard about atheists mobbing people. That's from Hellbound Heathen. So I would say, A, I haven't heard about it. B, don't mob people. That just, no matter what your ideological perspective is, it just seems like a really shitty, ridiculous thing, impractical.
Unless it's like a flash mob and you're going to sing a cool song.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you want to sing a sweet song and if you want to flash mob people, go ahead. I mean, I can't really get behind that because I find them annoying. But you know, do you. You're not hurting anybody.
Well, you can go back to 2003 and post that on YouTube.
Oh yeah, that's right. You can get in your TARDIS and then you know be relevant again. How long have I been a single mother? Little over a year. And that one was from Reese. So
but you've been a mother for longer than that.
I've been a mother for 7 years. Yeah, yes, I have. Oh, hit up Tatted Atheist for PC stuff. I really like Tatted Atheist. I've been connecting with him recently. He's pretty good. Oh, that's Jason there. Okay. Thank you, Nathan. Nathan says with how good my content is, he can certainly look past the frame rate. Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate it. If you could tell other people in the comments section when you see them that I know about the frame rate and direct them here and say, I know, I get it. I'm working on it. That would be great. Because I'm to the point where I'm just copying, pasting, going. If it bothers you that much, then close your eyes or, you know, feel free to donate to the Patreon because I'm doing what I can. All right.
Paul has knowledge of George Lucas. Sounds kinky.
That is the least kinky thing about Paul, let me tell you.
But it's a strange thing that I can say that I've had my hands in George Lucas's shirt many times.
Yes, you have.
Very strange because I used to be one of the few people who had security clearance for the creative meetings, and so all of us at the creative meetings had to double up, and so I also had to do sound stuff for the DVD crew with the DVD extras, and so I was always in charge of putting George's lapel mic on, which was really awkward. Just imagine, it doesn't matter, whoever your boss is, imagining that you are putting their lapel mic on over and over again. It's kind of distressing.
No. You see how not kinky that is? Do you see how when he starts to talk about George Lucas, I'm just like, oh, no, don't do it. Oh, here's a good question from Jason. Jason, I was on Jason's podcast recently. Everybody go check out Jason's channel. What is the best argument against atheism that you've run across? Here you go, Paul. You answer that. You go ahead. What's the best argument against atheism?
So I actually had a debate with Pine Creek about this the other day.
Great.
Argument against atheism is probably personal experience, probably, you know, God having a personal experience with you. Simultaneously, it's the worst experience for anyone else. So it's best evidence for yourself because only you can know what you felt, and obviously it's unfalsifiable to say that that you know that what you experienced wasn't God. Obviously, it could be explained via chemicals or euphoria or, you know, all the various circumstances around you. You're overtired. Like, we know all of these things about hallucinations and about how you feel certain things. So it's terrible evidence to accept someone else's personal experience.
Right.
But for yourself, because it's completely non-falsifiable, I kind of feel like that if I was ever to return to theism, it would probably be because of personal experience, not because of the intellectual arguments, because I feel like I've largely exhausted the intellectual arguments and they are so far like unconvincing to me.
So that's not really the best argument against atheism, though. That's what.
Well, that was the argument for. So
to convince you if it happened to you. So if you had a divine experience.
Well, a divine experience would obviously mean if you felt like you had an interaction with the divine, you would have to be a theist, right? Or at least a theist. Like, you could no longer be an atheist. If you interpret it as such. So, but you're saying that's not really the best argument against atheism. That's the best argument. That's the best chance that you would convert back. Sure, but there's
that happened to you. That's not an argument against atheism.
Well, I don't think any of the arguments hold water. So I'm back to that.
So you're like, there is no argument, but if I had a personal experience that I could attribute to nothing else.
Right, and I respect that in people when they tell me that. They're like, yeah, none of these intellectual arguments are why I'm a theist. I'm a theist because I have these personal experiences, not because of cosmological or anything else. Because most
people aren't. Most people aren't like, well, I heard William Lane Craig say blah, and that's what converted me to a theist. Most people are like, I guess I kind of see what you mean. Like that's why most people convert, is because they.
And at the same time, you know, an argument against atheism really that's a double negative. So you have to argue for theism, in my view, right? Like,
Right.
the best argument against atheism would be to prove that a God exists. If you prove that God exists, well, then we're done, right? So
yeah, exactly.
So it has to be.
He's my bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
So what do you? But I mean, you poo-pooed mine. So I mean, what do you think the best argument?
No, I didn't poo-poo yours. Like, asking questions isn't the same as poo-pooing something.
Well, see, no, but
like I can challenge things that you say without poo-pooing them. Like, don't dismiss what I was doing as like, or don't make it seem like I was dismissing your argument.
My dismissal was not a dismissal.
I had questions. Oh my God. I swear to Jesus. Start talking about George Lucas again. That makes you more attractive than what's happening right now.
Is you and I had obviously we differed in opinion. So
that means I poo-pooed what you said.
Christian apologist typed cold case Christianity in the freaking side chat. That makes me mad.
You just that's one of Paul's trigger words.
But go ahead, Shannon. What is your So you would have answered the question differently. So how would you have answered it?
How would I have answered it? The best argument against atheism is proof that God exists, and there isn't any. So there's no good argument against atheism.
So all right. So we're kind of in agreement.
Mic drop. I win. Yeah. Shannon 1, Paul 0.
but we're on the same team. I don't get No,
I still win. Fuck you, I win. I win. Paul 0, right. Shannon 1. Mic drop. Okay. Well, that went off the rails. We're great at answering questions. We're the best couple. Okay, so
David Zebart says, "Hi, long-time listener, first-time caller. Love the show. Thank you, David. Quick question: what do you think is the main reason Star Wars is better than Star Trek?" I'll hang up now and let you answer that.
Okay, you know what, Dave? The Star Wars isn't better than Star Trek at all. Even almost, kind of. Just ask Star Wars fans, because they hate it almost as much now as they ever have. And Star Trek is like an allegory for modern, like it's what you strive towards. Star Trek is a society that people strive towards. And also it was really telling. It predicted things like sliding doors, automatic sliding doors, and tablets, and it kind of like set a tone for, racial diversity. There would probably be, and in the science fiction realm, it was groundbreaking to the point that I don't even think that there would have been a Star Wars if there wasn't for Star Trek. So you go, Paul. Tell me why I'm wrong.
First of all, you're obviously evading the question. If you can't answer the question directly, you're just evading it.
Because Star Wars isn't better than Star Trek. Well, I don't have a good reason, because Star Wars isn't better than Star Trek, and I don't even know who let Dave in here.
Question.
I think you answer it.
I think we can look at cultural impact and box office. If we look at those things, if you add up all of the Star Trek movies combined, they don't add up to a single Star Wars movie. So how can you possibly say?
Oh, okay. So argument ad populum. It's more popular, so it's better.
How can you say that you've had more cultural?
Well, no, you know what? So Christianity's true then, because it's super popular. It's the most popular.
But Christianity has
true. But who invited Dave? Who invited Dave? Again. I swear to God. I swear to God. I swear to God.
I think he left.
I love you, but I will kill you with my bare hands. All right. So, who else has a question?
Well, Hellbound Heathen has another one. Are we allowed to have 2 questions?
Okay. Yes, of course. Yeah. You be in charge of questions. You go. You're better than You're better.
Are there any benefits to having a spiritual or religious belief, or are all false beliefs negative? If so, what false belief do you hold and why? I guess it's 3 questions.
Well, okay. So if it was a false belief and I knew it was false, I wouldn't hold it anymore. So I don't have a justification for holding a false belief, because any of the beliefs that I hold, I believe them because I think they're true.
Right, which actually goes back to our whole question we had a long time ago, which was, can a person choose their beliefs?
I don't think so.
And we don't think so. So
no.
Yeah, so we couldn't simultaneously know something was false and believe it.
Yeah,
we could pretend, which I did for a while. I pretended I was a Christian for a while.
Yeah, but then you're still an atheist. You're just going through the
Right.
motions. You're just that's the artifice of Christianity. It's not Christianity. You were just pretending in the hopes that maybe it would come back or that you could maintain your life. But well, I often say that I had an involuntary deconversion. Like I tried to hold on as hard as I could until to the point that like the dissonance shifted. But that's why I did the dissonance. One of the reasons I did the dissonance videos because I realized I couldn't anymore. Like I had to make a reconciliation and be honest with myself and say, you know, I don't believe this. I don't believe this. And I couldn't hold it anymore. And then I had to start reconstructing from that point on. So to answer the first part of the question too about spirituality, I think I touched base slightly with this on the Heathen Hour yesterday when somebody asked a similar question. I think it was Godless Cranium actually. Every once in a while he asks a question that makes some sense. But I said that, you know, sometimes I think spirituality gets mixed up with perception and introspection. So we perceive things, and if we can't understand them based on the framework that already exists in our mind, like if we can't find an explanation for them based on an external model that we already hold, then we start to attribute it to something else because we look for agency in things. We're agency detectors and we're pattern seekers by nature. So if we can't attribute it to something, we need to find a reason. And in order to be able to continue to hold it and to justify the experience and make sense of the experience, we'll attribute it to something common. So spirituality or religion is a common way to interpret those experiences that seems logical and acceptable because it's common. So that framework's already existing and we can fit a lot of things into it when we experience them. So I think a lot of what we would attribute to spirituality is just perceptions that we can't intrinsically explain, and a sense of introspective analysis that we're just giving the label of spirituality. I'm not sure if that answered the question as well as you would like to, and I kind of forgot the first part of it, but
So I guess the question was what benefits are there any benefits to holding spiritual beliefs? And I guess my question back to you, Shannon, like I would probably answer this, that the benefits of being spiritual are roughly the same as the benefits of a placebo, in that sometimes because you feel like there is something that you're holding on to, that you can actually, you know, mentally will yourself that, you know, even though you're on a placebo drug, you feel like you're probably getting medicine that's helping you. So therefore your mental state is better. Or, you know, as Matt said in one of my last videos, you know, if you're praying that something's going to happen, you feel like you're going to do something. So
changes
you
your mental
calm
state.
yourself down, you know, so would you say that what you described, is that the same as my answer, that roughly it's a placebo effect? Or are those different?
Kind of. Well, there would be a difference because I was talking about introspective analysis, but that's interesting too. So what you're saying, which has some merit, I think, is that if you're thinking from a spiritual perspective, you're changing your mental state, right? So you're changing it from a potentially negative state to a positive state. Now, it's a mechanism to do that. There's other mechanisms that can do that as well, but it is one. It is one,
Sure.
and it's arguably an effective one, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because it is essentially a placebo, right? So let's see if I can find a decent example. So Matt Delahunty, because you say Matt because you guys are on a first name basis, because I'm fucking Paul and Matt in my video the other day. So Matt Delahunty in your video used the example of the people in the coal mine, right?
Yep.
So they calmed themselves down because they were invoking religious principles, and that because they calmed themselves down, they started to breathe slower, they used less oxygen, and that helped them stay alive long enough to be rescued because they weren't utilizing all the oxygen in the space that they were in, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Now, you could do that another way. Like you could just rationalize your way to that.
Of course.
Right? So that doesn't make the efficacy, just because it was effective in that situation, that doesn't mean that it always has efficacy. Because if you extrapolate that, right? If let's just say these people found that effective in that circumstance, and in that circumstance it was effective, it calmed them down to the point that, you know, they had this hope, although this hope was attributed to something that to my mind wasn't there to help them, to, you know, to a God that was waiting to help them. That caused them to breathe slower and that gave them, you know, the opportunity to be rescued. Now, if they extrapolate that out and they say, in this circumstance, I prayed to God and he rescued me. That's the reason. They attribute agency to that circumstance. Now they get into another circumstance where a child of theirs is ill, for example. They could give that child medicine.
Yeah, this is the example I was going towards.
Right. Or they could say, well, I can pray. That works, right? Because they've given that efficacy. Because that circumstance worked, even though it was a placebo, they're attributing some sort of cause and effect to it. And it's not there. So because that happened, they'll extrapolate that out. That's where it becomes dangerous. I mean, in that circumstance, you could argue that was great. They prayed. It worked for them because it calmed them down. You could also argue that because they were minors and that was a situation that they were potentially going to be in, you could have given them some training,
sure,
to calm them down. That would have had the same exact effect without the danger of them attributing that effect to something that's not going to extrapolate out into their lives and could potentially cause harm later.
Right. And I think both of us identify as anti-theists, and that we would say that in general, while there are things that are good, they are not uniquely good. They are not uniquely, there's no good thing about religion that is so unique to religion that it couldn't be replaced, and possibly even better, you know, with a secular counterpart. So I was mainly trying to come up with an honest answer for Held Heathen's questions of, was there any benefit at all? I would say that for some people, there's a benefit to religion, not so much spirituality. There is a social benefit to religion, depending on the community you're in. No matter what community you're in, if you are in the largest in-group, you definitely have advantages that you don't have if you're in an out-group. So in the communities I've lived in, certainly, and you know, currently, not being a Christian puts me in the out-group, and therefore I don't get the some of the benefits that would be otherwise had. And that's that's not specifically to any religion. The same would be true if you were not a Hindu in a country that's primarily Hindus, or Muslim in Muslim country. Like it's just inherently there's an advantage to being in group. That's how I would answer that, I think.
Yeah, and that could be attributed to any sort of in-group. Really.
Right. If you're in California, if you live in California and you're like one of the few Republicans around there, you know, that you're in an out group. I mean, it's just,
yeah, because everybody else disagrees with you.
Yeah.
On the fundamental. Yeah. Sure.
Was
that even close? That was a good question. I like that question. Is there another question?
There are lots of the questions. I lost my screen. But no. These are now not going to be in order. I will go backward. Oh, actually, I know I found the order again.
Okay. Good work. Good job.
So, Christian apologist is asking, what misconceptions do Christians have about atheists?
Oh God, Jesus! How long is this stream gonna be? We're immoral. We're immoral. That's my least favorite. We are immoral, just by virtue of being an atheist. We have no grasp of, understanding of, or interest in morality. That's my least favorite one. But let's take turns, Paul. You go, because I could go all day.
So I think the one that I think is the most disingenuous is the one that was a meme of you recently. The one that
we just want to sin.
It's combined. It's so that we're only atheists because we want to sin, which is kind of yours. But that we literally we're just choosing sin over an intellectual honesty.
Yes.
That we never really believed. That's for me personally. Is you were never really a Christian, and I will.
That infuriates me when people come at you with that, because I know just how holy shit Christian you were. Right. Like you coached Bible quizzing, like you memorized the New friggin' Testament, like you thought the Earth was 6,000 years old, like.
Right. If it's by your fruits you will know them. No one could have put me against another Christian, and by my fruits not said that I was.
Also, if you still had the artifice on right now, like if you weren't openly atheist, if you were still pretending to be Christian, and for all intents and purposes, everything that's happening in your mind was the same, you could be like a William Lane Craig style person, like apologetics.
Oh yeah,
that
absolutely.
well. So the only differentiation is that you're being honest about what you actually believe now, instead of at the point in your life where you weren't being honest about what you actually believe. Like, and there was a transition phase. Like you believe, came up against knowledge that made it impossible for you to believe, had an overlapping, difficult transitional phase, and now are honest with yourself and everybody else about it. And people think that they can say, well, that means that you were never a Christian. That's right.
So obviously, there's a fallacy name for that. If you're Bodhi Hodge, that's the no true Scotsman fallacy.
Yeah, bingo.
And I would say, SJ, and to anyone else who's watching, if you are a Christian and you want to, I don't swear in my videos, for example. I don't curse in my channel videos.
Me the fuck off.
I know, I know that is going to be a trigger for the other person, and they are going to immediately stop listening. Like I know that saying fuck is all of a sudden like nothing that I say after that will be heard. If you're a Christian and you're talking to a former Christian, just know that the accusation that they didn't really believe or something like that, even if that's what you honestly think, because your scriptures say that that's what happened, that is going to be a conversation blocker. If here on Shanna's channel, we like to talk about how to keep conversations open. Even if that's what you truly believe, don't throw that out there. If you want to continue talking to the person, because then I'm in this weird position now where I'm like defending the imaginary friend that I had. Right?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Like that. I
really did.
Snuffleupagus. He honestly, I like it, but I don't now. So it's this weird. What am I doing here?
No, I really did believe that a man lived in my closet. You don't get to tell me that I didn't believe.
You can tell me that I didn't know enough, or that I didn't have the right apologetics, or or that maybe I didn't consider this angle or that angle. Sure. But to say that I didn't believe in Jesus, and I sometimes wonder, like, so if I had died, like if I would have died then, and and if God was real, yeah, I would have been fine then. But God let me live through some illness, and now I'm not. Like, it's this weird stuff to think about.
Okay, so I need to say something really quick, and I don't know what the etiquette is on this, but I'm like gonna cry. Somebody, am I allowed to say that somebody donated me $200?
What?
Yeah, I could cry. I don't know if it's okay to say this person's name, but I want to say thank you to them. Their name starts with a C, and I don't know how to say thank you to them because I don't know what the etiquette is for this stuff because I'm really bad at YouTube, and there's no message.
Was that like a super chat?
No, they put it right in my PayPal account.
Okay, well.
So thank you, person.
Thank you to the person. We don't know if it's supposed to be anonymous or not. So
I don't know if it's supposed to be anonymous. If it's not supposed to be anonymous, then I'm sorry I didn't say your name.
Oh, well, then message Shannon, and we'll thank you in your next video.
Yeah, yes. That's a good idea. I'm Shan with 2 N's _Q0 on Twitter. I don't follow people back though, so that's really bad. I don't know if they could let me know. Oh gosh. Oh my God, that's so sweet. I'm sorry, I completely just derailed this really good conversation, but that's really overwhelming to me because I still can't believe anybody even wants to be my patron. Like when I started okay, let's have a quick patron because I didn't even really talk about launching a Patreon. So I launched a Patreon after a long conversation with a bunch of other content creators, and I waffled back and forth on it because it was really important to me to be, there's a train coming by, of course. It was really important to me to get in this realm to be an advocate. And I just wanted to be an advocate. And that's why I had the 1,000 subscribers before I had content, because I was out roaming around other people's channels, just, doing my thing on Twitter and on YouTube, just doing everything I could to have constructive conversations and combat really bad psychological claims and just model good conversations with people. So when I had the 1,000 subscribers and I started the channel, like that, I didn't realize how much work it was going to be to do everything right the way that I wanted it to. And I didn't realize how much feedback I was going to get about technology stuff. And anyway, that's the reason I started the Patreon was so that I could put stuff back into the channel or into the community. Like the first $20 I had, for example, I used to buy a Holy Kool-Aid t-shirt so that I could support him, because I never really had enough money to be anybody's patron. And that's another thing that made me feel weird. I'm like, I'm putting this stuff up there because I want it to be up there. I want people to see it, and I want feedback, and I want to help, and I want to contribute something, and I want to be a voice in the community, and that's what's valuable. But then I started getting feedback about it's hard to watch your videos because frame rate. It's difficult because the sound is this. I can see the screen in your glasses. And okay, here's another inside secret about the videos. I'm dyslexic, and I script very, very carefully so that I can make sure that I'm saying things appropriately, because I'm usually compiling a lot of research together to do this, and I try to put a lot of thought into it. So that means that I have to read it. I don't have a teleprompter. I have a camera that's mounted on my laptop, so I'm scrolling through a Word document when I'm reading. I'm dyslexic and I wear glasses. I don't know if you noticed, but I stopped wearing glasses in the videos because people were commenting on how distracting it was, that it was reflecting in my glasses. People are commenting on how difficult it is because they can tell that I'm reading. So I'm trying to do my best to translate as well as I can, but still stay true to the script, because it's very important, because I'm doing so much research, and I need to be very careful about my words, and I'm dyslexic. So ask Paul. Sometimes I do a lot of takes, and I swear. That's why there's some outtakes at the end of some of my videos. So that's one of the reasons that I did the Patreon, because if I could invest in like things like a teleprompter or whatever, or a laptop that doesn't just die, so that I could have a better frame rate. That's why I started it. This isn't advocating for you going to the Patreon. I just want you to watch the channel and like the content. This is more so me saying, please look past these things. And like I said, like close your eyes if you have to, if seeing things reflected in my glasses is difficult, or if the frame rate is difficult, please just try to listen to the content, because I'm doing as much as I can to put as much work as I can into making sure that it's right, because that's what I feel like is important. And I'm not really I'm not a showman. I'm not a show person. I'm trying this out. I did this because people wanted it, and I'm just trying to do right by the people who requested this of me. So yeah, I went off on a tangent. Let's get another question.
Well, I have other questions, but I also would say, it's fun to go to your favorite YouTuber's channel, doesn't matter who it is, and go watch their first couple of videos. Like Shannon's still like barely 10 videos in, like you're 8, I think, in. The first several dozen of most channels are really embarrassing, and I think you started at such a higher level than most people's first videos. It's awesome. So Mr. Brass wants to know, how many atheists do you know became atheists because of arguments from atheist philosophers?
From atheist philosophers? Well, that depends on what you mean by atheist philosophers.
If he means like people like Sam Harris and Hitchens and the Four Horsemen, then lots. But if you mean that
might be what pushes a lot of people over the edge. I mean, if you look at somebody like me, those weren't what pushed me over the edge. Was I read the Bible and then nobody could answer the questions I had.
Yeah, it's true. I actually didn't.
That's what entrenched me.
Right. I didn't get to read any of those guys until I'd already decided that I didn't have adequate evidence.
Ken Ham made you an atheist.
Yeah, Ken Ham made.
Everybody knows that. That is common knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. And here's another thing that's interesting is we don't all hang around and talk about why we became atheists that often. I guess maybe that would be an interesting hangout to have a deconversion. Like what
I feel like deconversion. But I feel like it's just like it's the equivalent of the Christian testimony, though. Everyone wants that. Like there's always like Christian testimony nights. I remember those at church so often. They'd be Sunday nights when I'd have to miss Disney. I hated that. My parents made me go to church when Disney was on. Anyway,
that's hilarious.
We only had 2 channels and one good thing was on. So no, I think, but deconversion stories, people love deconversion stories. I feel like
really,
if you look at look at YouTubers, a lot of their common things that people like to hear is their deconversion story, and I haven't really laid mine down either. But There's a whole book of it. There's a whole book that's out right now of just like 200 deconversion stories.
Oh, I haven't heard of that book. What's that book called?
Oh, I forget. And again, Matt plugged it on my channel, and I can't even think of it. It corresponded with a documentary where he literally went.
My bestie Matt. My best friend.
He was involved with filming a documentary where like they just laid down a bunch of deconversion stories. And anyway, but no, you're right. We don't sit around and, hey, how did you decide there was no God? Because that's a weird thing to talk about.
Yeah. It really, no, and especially in the realm that we're in, we don't like we're all atheists. Like we don't say, well, how did that happen to you? We're just we're atheists. Most of us are constantly under fire too. Just wow, like directly and personally under fire at a steady pace that I don't even think people understand. Oh my God. I mean, I only have not quite 3,000 subscribers, and I've only been at this on my channel for about 2 months. I've only been at this heavily and prevalently for probably not 8 months?
Yeah,
maybe
6, 8, something like that.
Right? You've been at it for about a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my God, just the people that are just at you constantly and not addressing your arguments, attacking.
The question was supposed to be pointed really saying that most people.
Oh, did you just cut out? Oh, Paul's frozen. All you can see is his face. I don't know if you can. I don't know. Paul, what happened? You're gone. No, there's no Paul. I guess I'll answer questions by myself until Paul figures it out. Anybody have any questions for me? Well, Paul figures out what he's doing. Poor Paul. Where are you gone? He's totally frozen. His internet must have cut out. All right. Somebody, you'll have to at me if you want me to answer a question, because Jenna Q, sounds like it's time for 2 more channels, gamings and unboxings. No, sorry. There'll never be a gaming and or unboxing channel. Nope, sorry. I don't have a P.O. box. Probably never will. Why YouTube atheism, Jason? Why specifically that kind of content? Okay. So yeah, my mic is a Yeti brass. All right. So why YouTube atheism? One of the reasons that I guess became an atheist on YouTube, I had no intention of being a YouTube atheist. I kind of became active on Twitter, I guess, first, and then on the great debate community. Most of the reason that I entered into this realm was, I think Paul's back. Hey. Just answering a question really quick. So most of the reason that I entered into this realm was because I had been watching some debates that I was interested in. I was interested in the topic, and I wanted to see how it fleshed out, because I like challenging my ideas and my beliefs. I like to make sure that I'm justified in holding the beliefs that I hold. So I want to listen to both sides of the argument and try to carefully consider them as best I can. And I was watching a lot of those, and they just got derailed to the point, just personal attacks and straw men, and just all to the point that you couldn't really get to the crux of the actual argument. And that's the stuff, like the meat of that stuff is what I was interested in. And I thought perhaps if I could get into some of these discussions, I could find out the things that I wanted to know. So to a certain degree, it was kind of selfish, and maybe I could model it to other people, and other people who were like me, sitting there frustrated, banging their phones against the table going, I want to hear about the topic. Stop yelling at each other. I mean, I know that there's a market for that, and some people like a good dumpster fire, but I prefer actually trying to get to the root of why people believe what they do and think the way that they do. That's interesting to me, and I want to be able to challenge my ideas, and in an honest and respectful way, not in a condescending, like I already know what's right, so I'm just here to tell you that you're wrong sort of way. In an honest exchange of dialogue. I try not to enter conversations assuming that I'm right. I mean, I've obviously got preconceived biases, but anyway, that's one of the reasons that I kind of entered this forum, and then things kind of snowballed, and I was met with a bunch of really just shitty psychological arguments that kind of infuriated me, and I had a bit of the base knowledge that was required to counter them, but I wasn't schooled enough on the current research in order to back up that knowledge on the fly. So doing this channel allowed me the time to do the research when I encounter these, because I still enter in these dialogues. It allows me to do the research required to say, okay, here it is laid out, like the video that I just did, The Myth of the Unhappy Atheist, and the video that I'm working on right now, which I'm hoping to get out this week. If I don't, I'm sorry, is going to be on why people hide their atheism, like all of the reasons about that. And I'm researching up on social identity theory right now. So those are the reasons that I got into it. Amongst many more, I could go for a very, very long time, but hopefully that answers some of your question. And welcome back, Paul. How you doing?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Doing all right. My internet decided it needed a rest.
You were supposed to be in charge of...
I know. Questions.
Let me just flail in the wind, but whatever. Fine. I'll still talk to you for now.
Fine.
Your turn.
All
you were
right.
just sitting there while I was talking, so go get a question.
Do you feel there is an issue telling a small child there is a Santa Claus or an Easter Bunny?
Do I feel there is an issue? You know what? I grapple with that. I do. I didn't used to, but that's a hard question, because I have to ask myself, is it okay that my child is one day going to find out that I lied to him? But if I don't lie to him, he's going to go to school and ruin it for the rest of the kids. And am I robbing him from an experience that I don't really feel was a detriment to me? So I don't know. That's one that I grapple with. Like my child believes in Santa, but your children.
My children, all three of mine, because I was a hardcore theist at the time. Yeah, lying to our children is lying to the children, right? And the justification always was, well, if they find out we lied to them about Santa, what if they think we lied to them about Jesus?
Right.
Ironically, I now think that I did lie to them about Jesus unknowingly. So no, I made the opposite choice. I mean, I think it's a choice, and I think either side can be justified. But my kids did not believe in Santa Claus, although we instructed them that people at school were going to. And that they shouldn't ruin the fun for people. Because I remember my sister going into her kindergarten and loudly announcing to her class that Santa Claus was not real and they were all idiots for thinking so. Because my mom had the same philosophy.
I found out in Sunday school. And I remember my mom being livid. I was in probably grade 2, so I was about the same age as my son is right now. And my Sunday school teacher told me that there was no Santa Claus. Because I was really into church, and I came home and I was like, Mom, there's no Santa. They told me at church that there's no Santa, and my mom went bananas. Like, how dare they tell you that? And I'm like, you sent me there. They did. My Sunday school teacher is the one who told me when I was like 7 or 8 years old. Anyway, yeah.
But when I put on my Christian hat, and I now understand that the kind of Christianity I grew up in is not the only flavor, but I do think that the several things. So one of the commandments is not to lie, and I feel like that's a little bit beyond a white lie. But also, if you're gonna be the kind of person that's trying to shelter them from science because science might disagree with them, then perpetuating another thing that you have to defend is just from that worldview. Like from a secular worldview, I now can see, well, whatever, it's fun. Like you had a fun tradition,
right? And everybody finds out at a certain age that it was.
And also, there's theoretically, it could promote skepticism. It's like if your kid figures out there's no So I think I told you about my friend who their kid deliberately didn't tell their parents for 3 days that their tooth had fallen out. They had it under the pillow for 3 days.
Oh yeah, you did tell me.
And then without saying that, she told her parents, "Oh, I lost my tooth today," and the next day.
There was money.
The money was there. So the kid had run her own experiment on her parents to find out whether there really was a tooth fairy or to whether, it was just their parents. And obviously she got her answer. So good on that kid. That kid's going to cure some kind of disease somewhere along the line.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of questions surrounding that. Like, does it foster distrust or does it teach you, hey, there are certain things that people tell you that aren't true, and you should question things for yourself. Yeah, it's a hard question. I grapple with it. But you know, my kid loves Santa. He loves that stuff. So perhaps I'm a hypocrite. Maybe I'm guilty of, I don't know, social conformity to that regard. But you know, if you ask my kid, he'll also tell you that there's a God.
Right.
And he knows mommy doesn't believe that there is a God, and he knows that he's allowed to make whatever choices he wants, but like that we should, if he has questions, he should come and ask me. And at 7 years old is not he comes from the other side of his family is incredibly devoutly religious, and he gets these messages in the community that we live in. And yeah, so I want him to be able to make his own choices. I hope that he comes to what I would think is the right one, but he is not me, and he gets to make choices for himself. I believe in autonomy. So it's not my job to make him think the way that I do. It's my job to help teach him how to think.
Right.
And I hope that brings him to a different decision, but that's what he thinks right now.
All right, Kenny Rhodes, I'm skipping your question.
What?
You'll know why. No, Kenny's question is getting skipped. So
no, I'm so
I just want him to know that I see it, and we're not talking about it.
I didn't see it, Kenny.
Is it? So the next question is
I'm so curious.
Casey Parks asks, what is your opinion of the Shroud of Turin, and for what reasons do you think it isn't genuine? So I guess that's assuming your opinion about it, but
I would just be talking out one side of my face if I said anything about the Shroud of Turin. Really?
Yeah.
I really would. Like I'm not one of those YouTube atheists that's going to be like, I know everything about everything that has to do with Christianity, and therefore I have an opinion, because I don't know anything about the Shroud of Turin. I don't know. Paul, do you know stuff about the Shroud of Turin?
I know a little bit, and I know I've seen mainly from documentaries, both on those that totally think it's a real thing, and then those are totally debunk it. All I say is, like, let's grant the Shroud of Turin really has a figure on it, all that kind of stuff. I'm like, therefore what? Like, it's in my mind, it's like, therefore what? We don't know anything more than either there's a face on a piece of cloth or there's not. Like, so I don't. Anyway,
it's just like the mythicist question to me. People are like, "Are you a mythicist?" I'm like, you know what? I don't know enough about history to make a call either way. It would be disingenuous for me to say I do or do not believe that Jesus was an actual human person, divine or otherwise, that walked the earth. I don't know enough to make that call. But even pushing mythicism aside, if he did walk the earth, you still have to prove to me that he was freaking God.
Right.
Like, if he did walk the earth and that shroud was over him, but still, but prove he was God. He was, like, I think you're wrong. I prove he resurrected. And don't say 500 people, because just because 30 years later somebody wrote that 500 people saw him, that doesn't do it for me. I could write down right now 500 people saw me have a unicorn fly out my ass. That doesn't mean that it happened, even if you find it 1,000 years from now. Doesn't mean it happened. Just means that I wrote it down. Anyway, that's my opinion.
All right. So we don't know a lot on the Shroud of Turin, but from what I've seen, it's not really compelling evidence. Either way.
Paul is uncompelled.
Christian Apologist asked, is it easier to be an atheist in Canada than in the US, from what you've heard?
Depends on where in the US, I think, and it depends on where in Canada, and it depends on your life circumstances. Based on what I've read in research studies as of late, being an atheist in the southern United States doesn't sound like it's a whole lot of fun. Doesn't sound like it's a whole lot of fun demographically. Sounds like it's something you'd probably rather hide than be honest about. And being an atheist in coming out of certain sects of religion. So being an atheist coming out of the Mormonist faith and the Jehovah's Witness faith, for example, or the Muslim faith, are more difficult than coming out of the Christian faith, because there are rules surrounding how you deal with apostasy that involve shunning and or killing in those religions. So yeah, so I think it's very situational. I think it depends on the religiosity of the region that you're in, and I think it depends on the specific religion that you initially adhered to that you would be deconverting from. If you were just outright an atheist, I think the likelihood that you were in an area with high religiosity would be low already, because that would have meant that you were brought up an atheist. So that means, like, if you're a family of atheists, you probably wouldn't settle in a place where it's uncomfortable to be a family of atheists. And if you did, you'd probably experience some of the same discrimination. So I'm not sure if that answered the question well. I know, Paul, you actually lived in the States, so.
Well, yeah,
but you weren't an atheist then.
No, my weird experience was I actually found it very difficult to be a Christian in the States because I moved to San Francisco. I went from Mennonite, I went from the middle of the prairies to moving to San Francisco.
Yeah.
And it was like we couldn't find a church. To find a church that was a Bible believing church that I considered to be Bible believing, we had to drive about an hour and 15 minutes every Sunday morning.
Yeah.
So we commuted to church, which was very strange. The only church anywhere near us, it was an all faiths church. Like every service literally had like Hindu elements and like all those elements. And in my theist days, of course, that was just like there's no blending of this stuff. It's Christianity is the way, right? We're the way, the truth, and life. No one comes to the Father but by me. So like it was all you people. You're all going to hell.
And I'm going to church.
So it was actually really hard to be a Christian there, and I got mocked at literally at work. Like people would try and push me to curse or to do certain things, and I definitely felt persecution for being a Christian. So I actually, if people are talking about being persecuted as a Christian, I kind of get it. Like I remember what it was like.
That can happen too. Anybody who negates that is ridiculous. Anybody who says Christians are never, situationally, almost anybody can be persecuted. Like. I so many people, this frustrates me, try to vilify, the opponent in their mind, right? So Christians could never be discriminated against. Yes, they can. Sure, they can. It's less common than almost any other form of discrimination, but it's within the realm of possibility. It does happen to people. I mean, obviously it happened to you. Like people made fun of you because you wouldn't say the swears.
Yeah.
Right?
Or go for drinks, like all the things that was expected of me, right?
So there was some social stigmatization involved in that. And that's not fair. That shouldn't happen. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Lee Stark says, guys, I'm struggling with my faith, what I think is a deconversion. I logically know all the arguments against my religion and I accept them, but I'm having troubles with the social, etc. aspects. Any suggestions?
Oh gosh. Okay. So I hate to say my last video again. Okay. So in the link of you don't even have to watch it, but just go the last video that I did. Pardon me. The Myth of the Unhappy Atheist. There's some links in the description. The first couple of links in the description are links to, I think it's Recovering from Religion, the Clergy Project, and there's one other group that will put you in contact with secular therapists. There's also, or secular counselors, and will help connect you with people in your area, because finding community is difficult. If you're looking for an online community because you're not ready for a face-to-face community, I'd strongly suggest Twitter community. The Twitter community is great. Paul has a Discord. The Paulogia Discord is fantastic. I should have put a link to it in the description. There's lots of deconversion stories happening there. There's a place for you online. Now, if you're looking for face-to-face, I would suggest that you get in touch with the Center for Inquiry, because they do like Skeptic at the Pub nights and things where you can actually go connect face-to-face with other people who are struggling with deconversion and make social connections. Holy Kool-Aid, Thomas Westbrook, he has a website where there's lots of resources that you can sort regionally so that you can find a location in your area if you want somebody face-to-face again. Like if you want to look for a group where you can go and help form social groups. Now, if you're looking for help on something like how to come out or how to best communicate with the people that are around you, that's really situational, and it would be negligent of me to give you advice in a forum in this manner. And I would direct you back to the resources where you can get some secular therapists that specialize in deconversion therapy, and it's a new specialization because there's a lot of research on deconversion and the issues that are being faced by people who are going through deconversion. But that they're your best resource now. So I would strongly encourage you, or anybody else who's listening who's going through the same, to look into those and then look further. And then if and once they help you, help spread the word that they exist, so that other people who were in your position can find them as well and build those communities and get that support. So I hope that helps. And thank you for asking. It's important to ask so that you can get the help if you need. And I respect you asking, because it's not always easy to do so.
So I know who asked this, although I don't really, we'll see. And I'll say it for the fun of it. Does light have mass?
That's who asked this?
Someone, no, answer anyone asks, does light have mass?
Oh, you know what, guy? I'm not answering your ridiculous questions anymore. It's photoshopping to do.
Kelso Calgary asks, did you have any say on your cartoon on Paulogia?
No, I wasn't even allowed to see it. I wasn't even allowed to see sketches of it. Wasn't allowed to talk about it. It was a deal. It was a whole deal. I don't actually think I saw it until the video went live. Like, I've seen all kinds of other stuff, and I even did the B-roll for that video, I think. Because the first one that I was on was the first one that I was on with an avatar, the chimp
DNA. Yeah.
It was the chimp DNA one. That's the first one where I had my avatar. And I loved it, but I had no say whatsoever. None. Nobody does. For the record, not just
Nobody
me.
does.
Nobody does. Not a soul.
No vetoes.
No one. No one gets to see it until it goes live. Like, Matt Dillahunty didn't get to see his. Seth Andrews is not going to get to see his. Aaron already has, because he's been on before. Like, Dan Barker, he didn't get to see his. I stated clearly, John didn't get to see his. The other John, Godless Engineer, didn't get to see his. Godless Cranium didn't get to see his, and he wanted his to be super blinky. Yes, nobody gets to see theirs. Nobody. No. But yeah, I had no say whatsoever. Nobody does. Even the patrons don't. Well, they have more say than I did, actually. That's true.
It's just this.
Never mind. I'm lying, because they have way more say than I do. Yeah, or ever did. Yeah. So if you're a patron, you get a say. But if you're a guest contributor, no goddamn say whatsoever.
Shannon Q, did you have difficulties with your family when you deconverted?
I'm having difficulty to a certain degree now, but only with certain members, not with all of them. Not with all of them. But yeah. Like, I couldn't tell my grandmother. Before my grandmother passed away, I was not allowed to tell her. It was not permitted for me to tell her, because they were afraid of what it might do to her emotionally. And they said, there's no reason for you to tell her. So I just kind of avoided bringing it up. But yeah, a little bit, not as much as most people do. Like, nobody's shunned me. I've gotten in some arguments. I have some people that in my family who, my son, for example, around a close member of my family, said that fish were here before people. And I was in a group of family members, and they said, "Who told you that?" And then said my son's name. He said, "Mommy told me that." And they all started laughing and said, "Yeah, well, there's some other people here that don't believe the same things your mommy believes." And all burst out laughing. And I said, "You know what? Buddy, you're right. Fish were here before people, and facts don't care about what you believe. You keep learning, buddy. You did a really good job." And I looked at them and said, "Just to let you know, because they're Christians, even in the Bible, fish were here before people."
Right? Day 5 and day 6. Come on.
Just saying. So stuff like that, it's passive aggressive stuff. Like, it's not, nobody's outwardly shunned me, but every once in a while it comes up in a passive aggressive sort of way, or I was told that what I'm doing on YouTube is damaging and mean-spirited.
If there's one phrase to describe your YouTube
That's damaging and mean-spirited.
Mean-spirited, I think, is obviously.
Yeah, I know. That's what everybody says about me. I'm damaging and mean-spirited. Everybody knows that. So I guess kind of. Yeah.
John Peterson, I assume no relation to the other Peterson. Is it an objective truth that morality is subjective?
That's a good question. No, I don't think so, because I'm not really 100% sure that like I'm leaning heavily towards subjectivity when it comes to the morality question. I mean, I don't know if you were in maybe this person was in the chat that I was in on Steve's channel the other day where they were talking about morality. I don't, even if you can build an objective framework around morality, right? So that, that the analogy that I've heard used is, if you want to win a race, you ought to run fast. Like that's an objective fact. Sure. Right? Mm-hmm. How do you determine the if in that statement? So, right? Like what do you want to win a race? How do you know you want to win the race? Maybe I want to watch the race. Like the if in that statement is what gets me. The determination of the if is subjective in my mind, and nobody's been able to prove to me how you get morals, like moral truths, objectively. I can't get there. And I've been trying and listening. Like I watched Cosmic Skeptic to talk to Inspiring Philosophy yesterday. And I want to start reading, but mostly I've been reading psychology research and trying to compile all that stuff for this video. So I don't have a lot of time to do like this reading. So I've been kind of listening and reading, and I can't get there. I don't know. What do you think, Paul? You maybe have more cogent thoughts than I do right now on this. What do you think?
Well, you and I talk about this so much. It's actually a weirdly favorite topic for us to talk about.
We're the weirdest couple in the world. We really are.
I think either my views are getting closer to yours or yours are getting closer to mine. But yeah, I mean, it's all. I don't think that people agree when they talk about objective. I think that some people mean absolute and some people mean objective, and some people mean vice versa. I think so. I really can't have this conversation with anyone that isn't willing to do at least 5 minutes with me of defining what things mean.
And
I'm like you.
in there too. Sokka, I see Sokka in the chat. Sokka's the one who was talking about it. It's the Sokka account. He is really smart, really smart, and he wasn't there advocating for the framework that he was even talking about when I was blasting him in the chat. I think I was exhausting him. Poor Sokka. I'm sorry, Sokka. But I would love to talk to him one day just about this, to see, because my thoughts are becoming more cogent, but they were so scattered. Like I felt like I had sort of an innate thought. I don't know if I'm articulating this well about it, but I couldn't form a coherent framework around it. So this is the conversation on morality is one that interests me. The objectivity and subjectivity of morality is what interests me the most. And I just can't get there. Like this isn't something I'm going to be able to answer right now. But I guess my answer to that question is no. Yeah. No. Sorry, I interrupted you. I got excited because Sokka was there, and I think he's so smart.
Sokka is amazing. I haven't seen Sokka around recently, so I actually need to go seek out stuff he's done. Because when I first entered the Great Debate community stuff, like last January, definitely one of the people that every time he had something to say, I shut up. So.
Yes. I might even shut up. Maybe. Probably not.
Sean Morton says, I have theist children and love them very much. This isn't the question. I just want to agree. I have theist children and also love them very much.
Yes, absolutely. You love your children because they're your children. You raise them to be the best people they can be.
Gage wants to know, is anyone actually planning on going to Kent Hovind's Dinoville, that's not the name of it. It's Dinosaur Adventureland. I'll go if y'all do. Wow.
John and Casey are going with who's going with them? Kyle from Non-Sectional is going with them.
I would consider going with them. I would need to feel safe, and I don't think I would feel safe there.
I'd protect you. I'll bring a bat. We'll go. It'll be fine.
All right.
Let's go. I want to go mill around in that pond. It's in the middle of that dirt.
It's just stand and it's
I want to go get baptized in the dirt pit pond.
Yeah,
And
there's
right
that
down the
video
road.
today. Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, it's the creepiest place on earth. Oh, when you sent me the drone footage, do you
Yeah.
remember that? The
Mhm.
drone footage? And it was their actual advertisement.
Right.
My
It
jaw
wasn't
was
like someone else took drone footage. They took it themselves and said,
like
"Here we
that.
go."
That
Yeah.
was their opening day. Like, this is the big day. And I was like, oh shit. This is supposed to entice people to come. Like, it looks like if there was a horror movie about an amusement park where a serial killer lived, that would be what it looked like.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
Or-
this would happen, but it was just the creepiest vibe I've
And I'm
ever.
not saying he's a cult leader, but if you were making
And
a
him
movie
pushing
about a
kids.
cult leader, you would set it somewhere very similar to that.
I can't breathe. And him pushing the kid on the swing. I was like, go get your kid.
And then his promo video had pictures of the toilets. It had literally, like, were you just trying to be proud that you had indoor toilets?
So we have plumbing. We did it, guys. So I know.
It's like 6 minutes in. If you've done 6 minutes, you probably want to know if you have toilets.
Oh fuck! Can we go, please? Though.
Now
I need to go.
But I want to go to the Ark and the Creation Museum again first.
Oh yeah, no, I'd rather go to the Ark. I think you and I need to make out in every room of the Ark. We need to make out under the desk at the Creation Museum on the stage. We just sneak in. Stage. Just
I've been to the Creation Museum. I got some ideas for thoughts about that one.
Yeah. I bet you do. I'm not even kidding. I feel like we need to do that. Oh shoot.
Can you guys explain to us why Ken Ham is such a quack?
God, I wish.
Depends
Well,
what you
Paul
mean by
tries. He has a whole
quack.
series.
Honestly, Ken Ham, if you look at it in one way, is an incredibly smart businessman. And if you look at everything that he does from a businessman, shareholder, CEO of a company perspective, he's a genius, not a quack. He systematically isolates not only atheists, not only other religions, but other Christians as not Christian enough.
Yes.
He is isolating, and he attacks biologos, and he attacks other, like, he is framing his business such that he is defending. He's the last defense against even the other Christians who want to destroy what's real. And the only person that he props up as, defending against this is him. And the only way you can save it is by spending money in his store.
To educate your children, because before us evil heathens get to your children.
But not only the other heathens, like, you don't know what that Sunday school teacher that you took him to last Sunday is telling him.
Yes, you've got to teach them the
real way.
You
need your own materials at your house, and if you are not supplying the materials from his store, you cannot trust it.
And go check with your preacher at your church to make sure that they have our materials.
Right.
Because if they're not using our materials, you have no idea what they're teaching your children, but you know what we would teach them because we believe the literal, like, he's just.
So if you look at it that way, he's not a quack. He is an incredibly smart business person who owns a $110 million Ark. And I'm going to do a video soon, I hope, showing his warehouse footage. Like, he has a warehouse that doesn't rival Amazon in general, but that rivals any single Amazon entry in terms of, like, just the sheer volume and the pick and pack methods that they use. That is just like the biggest retailers. It's astonishing behind the scenes of the number. They have 1,000 employees just mailing out DVDs. Like, if you can imagine how many you're sending out every day if you need 1,000 people working there. And scary. So, and then it's like, well, what does he believe? Well, maybe he believes all of this stuff. Maybe he doesn't. And if he believes it all, is it because his paycheck relies on it? I give the example. I worked for Apple early in my career, and to this day, but even then, I was quite young and totally believed that Apple made the best possible things on the market. But I look back and I'm like, did I believe it, or was it that, like, that's where I was employed, and that's what, the believing that kept my paychecks coming.
Yeah.
I honestly, even though it was myself, I look back and I'm like, did I really believe it or not? I don't know. I currently believe it. I currently believe Apple makes the best stuff, but I'm willing to be wrong about that, and I own non-Apple things. So I don't know. I don't think Ken Ham. We can't decide here. None of us are mind readers. We don't know.
No.
We are not able to judge anyone's motives. Just like I'm angry when someone's like, you're an atheist because you want to sin. Well, you don't know what you don't know what's in my head or my heart. So I don't do the same for the Eric or Kent or any of those guys.
I'm white boxed. Oh my god, I am. You went away, and people have only been seeing me, and I didn't even realize it.
Yay!
Oh, that's awful. No, that's not cool. It's because when you dropped out, it made me just.
Oh, okay.
I was like, why have I been staring at me and you're little?
Here's a whole different question.
I'm sorry, people. I've been hiding Paul from you.
Perfect.
I didn't mean to. No, look how cute you are. Everybody needs to see.
Do you guys find it difficult / stressful to put out a video on a regular basis? Have you considered changing the release schedule?
I totally talked about that earlier.
I guess you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm probably going to do one every 2 weeks. I'm going to try to do a little bit more live stream. Less live streams like this. This was just, Paul and I just decided this would be fun. And I had some channel announcements, one of which was that I'm probably only going to be doing one every 2 weeks because I'm starting to put a lot of research into it. I've got a full-time job. I'm a single mom, and the topics that I want to tackle are taking a little bit longer. So my release schedule is going to be a little less than once a week, but I'll probably do a few more live streams. And this Thursday, I'm going to be doing one with a Christian psychologist who has a channel, who I announced his name earlier, but can't remember right now, to go over my last video, because he has he wants to go over some of the peer review research and maybe give a different interpretation. I think that should be interesting. And
Shannon will tell you that I indeed suffer great stress about my videos and when they.
Oh my God. He stays up all night to get his editing. He's meticulous about his videos. And his videos, well, he sketches everything by hand, for starters. So, and everything needs to have its specific color code and be rigged, and he's got to angle everything a certain way. Like, everything is meticulous, and every piece of B-roll that puts in, that's all another frame that needs to go in. He does it in sequence, and he takes, so my stream of consciousness that I have, like the video that I did with you on New Year's Eve. Oh, that might be the first one I was in. Maybe. No, maybe it wasn't.
No, I think the other one was first.
No, it was the shampoo was first. The video that I was in with him on New Year's Eve, I literally drank a bottle of wine and half a bottle of rum, and we watched Ken Ham walk through the Creation Museum. It took us 3 hours to watch a 20-minute video because I was potty mouthed. So he takes all of that. He takes stuff like that all the time. So like 3 hours of audio, and edits it down into like a coherent dialogue, and then intersperses his audio in with it so that it's all coherent, then animates it, and then it takes a lot of work and so much research too. Like when he does the science videos, oh my God. Oh, when you did the hydrologic sorting video, I guess when we did the hydrologic, that was my least favorite one. Reading the hydrologic, reading all of the shit about the clams on the mountains, and I have seen so much shit science since I met you. Like the first time I saw Answers Research Journal, you can ask Paul, I lost my mind. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this has the artifice of the journal. They have people who are PhDs writing in it. I remember texting you, and I think, what did I write? They have a fucking abstract? How dare they have an abstract? People are going to think this is really science. They have references, but the references are usually them or some shitty quote mine from something that's, I was mad. Oh, I was so mad because people think it's science because it looks like science and a PhD is doing it. Anyway, I'm off on a tangent. I just every time I talk about AIG, I just get mad. I get so mad. Let's ask a question.
All right. Lucas asks, what are your opinions of these scamming prosperity preachers like Copeland and others? Any chance of tackling this realm of Christianity?
I don't know who Copeland is.
I would answer for me is that I actually, so I don't pick and choose. I no longer feel like one brand of Christianity is actually any worse than any other. I feel like they're all wrong, and not feel like they're all wrong. And so like to try to, only if I felt like there was an angle to point out that that because of prosperity gospel there is no God, but I don't think those naturally follow. I think that it really, I'm going to be focused on young Earth creationism, and I'm moving more towards just general, which I feel much more comfortable, frankly, in theology. I'm not comfortable in science, so but like really the theology of that. How do we know there is a God, and do we have enough evidence that there is a God? Is what I want to focus on. I don't care that one branch of Christianity. I care, but I can't. It's not my battle to fight that within Christianity that some people are bad actors in one area or bad actors in another area. I That's not my fight to fight. I guess I think I would encourage Christians, though, if there are Christians who are going to stay Christians and want to call out about bad actors in their own community on anything, please do so.
Right. Same thing. People are being assholes. Tell them that they're assholes.
And frankly, I also, we sometimes hear like there's sometimes bad actors in the non-theist community as well, like in the atheist community. And I don't feel like my channel is the place that like I'm calling out every atheist who does something I don't agree with, but I certainly use my social to do that. If anyone felt like I was a bad actor on one way or another, I would hope that an atheist would call me out on it and not feel like just because we're on the same team that gets a pass.
I tell you, you're a dick all the time.
That's true.
All day, every day. To answer for me, I don't know if it's relevant, but no, probably not, because I don't do response videos. Most of what I'm interested in is personal psychological impact, and a little bit of the philosophy around it. So I don't know if anybody's noticed, but I'm very, very careful not even to refer specifically to Christianity in my videos. I refer to theism, because I think a lot of the principles that I'm discussing are universal. So I don't need to, when it comes to religion anyway, I don't need to address a specific religion, because I try to make sure that it's applicable to anybody who's deconverting or contemplating deconverting, or just has questions about communication theory or entering into these types of dialogues. So attacking a individual person of a specific faith, or not attacking us, we're addressing a particular person of a specific faith, isn't really within my wheelhouse. And I feel like I have a level of expertise in this specific area that doesn't lend itself best to that type of content. I'm really enjoying doing these meta-analyses where I'm taking a psychological principle or a theistic claim that has to do with psychology and compiling a wide breadth of research and data, so that I can kind of weave a picture of say, see, this is it in context. These are the principles that you have to consider. Look at it this way, and here's the links to everything so that you can go look at yourself, because I really, really want people to advocate for themselves when it comes to knowledge. Just go and do a lot of your own research. Don't just take my word for it. Maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I am. I can't wait to hear about it, because I want to be right. So I want to know what I'm saying is valid and fair. And yeah, so don't think it's necessarily something that I would particularly address. It's just not in the wheelhouse of the things that I want to do right now. Not that it's not valid, but it's just not for me, I guess, right now. And hopefully that's okay.
I'm going to acknowledge that Drew from Genetically Modified Skeptic was or is in the chat. Hi, Drew.
Hi, Drew. I love Drew.
He wasn't asking questions. He was plugging his own channel on your channel, because that guy got 90,000 subscribers.
No, go sub to Drew, though. Seriously, Drew's cool. Drew actually, I reached out to Drew and Holy Kool-Aid for the last video. I keep saying the last video. I really got to, God damn it. I hate myself right now. But I reached out to him to make sure that I had the best resources, and him and Holy Kool-Aid got back to me right away to make sure that I had the best resources, because I felt like I couldn't talk about issues with deconversion without giving people resources to look at, not in good conscience. And they helped me immediately. Drew let me know right away. So
I feel like that's actually something that the average person probably doesn't know, but that I have a peer review group, as do you, and like there's a and lots of other YouTubers. There's a kind of collection of YouTubers that when something's in someone else's wheelhouse, we will actually pass it to the other person at script stage and like, is this script right? Have I got everything right? Like we are. I'm very proud to be amongst my friends that are so conscientious that they will turn to someone who, in other ways, you might think, oh, they're competitors because it's like they're on YouTube and they compete. No, we're checking with each other to make sure that we're getting things right and we care about truth.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, completely agree.
And
the first video
just
I ever
a few years ago. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the first video I ever worked on with you was the B17 video that you did with Drew.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
But go ahead.
Because it wasn't that many years ago, I used to think the Earth was 6,000 years old, so I certainly can't be trusted on about checking some of these things.
He doesn't know shit.
I lost who asked it, but they wanted to know where's the best place in Canada to get maple syrup.
Oh, I've heard Okanagan in Ontario. Okanagan.
The Okanagan is in BC.
Is it BC? Oh, okay. I thought it was in Ontario. Somebody said Okanagan.
I think
I thought it was in Ontario.
Wrong. I think your instinct is right. I think in the Ottawa area.
Okay, so am I saying the wrong name?
Yeah, I think so. Because it's the Ottawa area where there's like a million lakes, and there's a million lakes all over Canada, but in that area, I'm trying to think of another town in that area, where they have just maple trees growing like crazy.
Was that KC? I couldn't believe the day that I told her that maple syrup came from trees was my favorite day. So when you get maple syrup, like, from trees. I'm like, what do you mean from trees? I'm like, from maple trees. It's like, you mean to tell me I can go in my yard and put a tap in my maple tree? I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I've done it.
That's where it comes from.
Yeah.
I love her so much. She's one of my favorites. Didn't believe me. I think it's really from trees. We pull it out of trees.
That was RSC227 asking that, and Saka agrees with us that Northwest Ontario is the best place.
Okay, thank you. I don't know, why did I say Okanagan? Anyway, it's maybe I don't know.
Okanagan is the best place to get fruit, like cherries and peaches and stuff.
Okay, well, see, I didn't know. I don't know why. I knew
you've not been west of my house, so.
I have not been west of your house. Actually, I have been west of your house. Oh, that's true.
You've been to Banff. You have not been west of Banff.
Banff is definitely west of your house.
Yeah. I think you answered that already, but since Paul's done the Ark Encounter, and that's actually not true, I did the Creation Museum. Yeah. And probably can't again. Will Shannon ever visit the Creation Museum and do it?
No, because Nick said that he loved you when we were in the live chat the other day. Remember?
True, but people don't know who Nick is.
No, Nick runs Answers in Genesis YouTube live stream chat. If you see Answers in Genesis typing something into the live stream on the YouTube live stream on Mondays and Thursdays, that's Nick. Me and Nick are besties now. Except for when he blocks me, but mostly we're besties.
Saka asked, and I ask this mainly because of Saka, out of the big name apologists, Ham, the Hovens, who do you think is legit and who's in it for the money? Which is a common question I get. What do you say, Shan?
Eric's in it for the money, I think.
I will tell you the one person I think is not in it for the money, and I think that's Kent.
No, yeah, he believes that shit.
Kent believes it, and he is basically living in essentially a communal place where every dollar that they get is going to feed. It's like 80 people a day or whatever they feed there. Like, I watch that video every day, and that is as close to literally. I mean, the Acts model of the early church, like they are living that.
Right. Oh, honey, you froze again.
They're every meeting.
You're like completely cutting up, and you're frozen.
Money they bring in goes to feed everybody, and they sleep in tents or build a little shack. Like, I believe that guy. He's not in it for the money. If he is in it for the money, he's the worst of them all.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
I believe you that Kent is. I believe that Kent, because he wouldn't open himself up to the embarrassment that he opens himself up to. Like, Eric won't come against you. He wouldn't come Like Kent will talk to anybody who will listen to him because he thinks he's right.
Right. The other
Like,
thing he does is that he puts out his content every day for free.
yeah,
Like I actually respect that man, and he keeps his comment section open.
right.
Whereas everyone else, if you want to get the stuff, you have to buy the DVD or buy the book.
Yeah.
Like the secrets, they put out a little bit of free stuff. I just feel like if these ministries were honestly looking to convert people, they would put this stuff up on YouTube and just ask their the other Christians, like, please pay for the production cost because we are going to give it free to the people who don't believe. That's when I give the theist credit.
Okay, here's why I think Eric is the least honest in that vein, because Eric's entire ministry is a front for his shitty supplements and his stupid books and his cures for friggin' cancer and his weight loss drugs and his pseudoscience medicine. Like, he has a website that just pumps a bunch of shit. Like, so he gets people to trust him essentially because he's peddling their faith, and then sells them a bunch of dangerous crap. Like, if he was in it just for the ministry, like, he wouldn't be selling the rest of that garbage. I think it's just a front for the rest of that crap.
I can't disagree.
That's why he's the most dangerous and just disingenuous. And I don't like him. I don't like his face. And I don't care if you know. Don't like your face. Think you're a huckster and a snake oil salesman. Have a nice day, asshole. Next question.
Next. Jonathan asks, did you know that all atheists are Satanists?
We're not.
I hope that was a joke question. I hope that was in the vein of all.
You can be an atheist and be a Satanist, though, but I don't subscribe to Anton LaVey's principles.
All right. Renard asks a probing, pointing question where we may or may not agree. We'll see.
Okay.
If a theist believes in God but doesn't otherwise denounce science, evolution, etc., their beliefs were a total non-impact on society, would atheists still have a problem with that?
Non-impact on. So if there was an imaginary deist that existed.
No, a theist. Like there's a theist who believes in a god,
okay,
but is he's a theistic evolutionist because he specifically says evolution here, and their beliefs were total non-impact on society. So that hypothetical theist was not voting based on any. He was voting purely on secular ideas.
But I think that's a contradiction in terms, though, because any belief system, there'd be a structure to the belief system, otherwise you're a deist.
Okay.
Otherwise you're a deist. There's no such thing as a theist who doesn't have a structure of their faith. Like, they have a doctrine, right? That's what makes them theist. There's a theology. That's what makes you a theist. So not having an impact on society, you're a member of society, you're a person within the society, it has an impact on you. I care about that. So I think theologies are constraining. I think that when I encounter an idea, I don't have an existing framework that I have to find a way to jam it in or dismiss it, right? Like, so I don't have a framework that isn't malleable. My framework is malleable. I can accept information as it exists, and I don't have to fit it in a box. And if it doesn't fit in the box, or at the I can't bend the box enough to fit it in, because sometimes they're a little bit malleable, but eventually that box will break, right? And you either have to discard that theology, or you have to discard the idea that won't fit in the box. Now, all theologies are that box. Now, maybe in this analogy, that box is bigger, but it's still a fucking box. And if you find an idea big enough that doesn't fit into it, then it's damaging to you and anybody that you have influence on. So no, I can't get on. No, because I think it's a contradiction in term, because there's no such thing as a theology that doesn't have impact. Show me one that does and explain to me how it's possible that it could exist.
So my answer is very slightly different. I in general, I oppose theism. However, I do believe that there are people, I believe there are individuals who unfortunately like if I could go back in time and help them not be theists in the first place,
Right.
that would be great. But there are people, and I think most of the people I can think of are late in their life, for whom the social and self-identity considerations that if they were to deconvert would be a problem. So there are individual theists who I'm hoping that in their life they actually don't deconvert. However,
that's an answer to a different question, though.
That's an answer to a different question. So,
yeah.
but so honestly, like those people are the people. Like some of the people that I'm thinking of, I would describe that way. They think evolution might be a thing. They're not actively necessarily teaching. They
taught you that, and then you taught your kids that.
They don't hate gay people. Like they think, there's this. I think there is.
I think you're rationalizing it for people that you love.
Yes, I am 100% doing that. I'm 100%. That's what I'm saying. There are individuals.
Circumstances that you wouldn't accept for other people.
Yeah, fair. And I guess the way I rationalize that for myself is their life would be better if they had never been a theist. If there hadn't been religion in the first place for them to join up,
right?
Society would have been better.
But it's too late now, and it'll damage them on an individual basis.
So Mike, I mean, my efforts are looking forward. It's like let's make sure that these next couple of generations are making decisions that are informed and not just purely out of social convenience. My fear is that social convenience in some sections of the world are still what's leading people there. But I don't know if call me out. I'm inconsistent on this, and I get it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I don't think anybody. That wasn't really the answer to the question, because the question was a person who has like an imaginary theistic. But anyway, well, moving on, because this is interesting.
Yeah, I'm against ideas that are false. So even if that person is going to weigh me as let's say that person was going to mirror me on every social issue and mirror me even online, and like in every possible way that could affect society, they're going to shop the same way I would, whatever, so that we're making the same decisions. I still would be against them holding a wrong idea. So
right. And I don't think anybody's like, to go to your trying to deconvert. Not that anybody isn't. I don't advocate for, radical militant, deconversion strategies. I'm an anti-theist, but I think I'm an anti-theist because I want people to be unconstrained by ideological, theistic ideological indoctrination and be able to think for themselves without any hindrance. Now, if I want to carry that out and be logically and consistent, then that means that I shouldn't want my ideology imposed on anybody either. And I don't. I want people to come to these decisions by themselves, and I want to contribute to that by presenting information in the best way I can, and being able to answer questions and kind of represent and instantiate, that what an atheist is, because there isn't anything that an atheist is. It's somebody who answered one question the same way as a bunch of other people. There's nothing else consistent about atheists.
Right. We're about as similar as the group of people whose favorite color is blue.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's a really good analogy. You're so smart sometimes. So cute. But yeah, so that's what I mean. Like, I don't think anybody would be advocating for that, because everybody has the right to believe what they want to believe. It would be my preference for them and everyone else that they didn't, but I'd fight to the death for their right to, so long as it didn't impose or impinge upon anybody else's rights as, I guess I see them, because I have to admit that I have an individual perspective here. But yeah, I mean, I feel like when you make that argument, you're making it seem like I or you or somebody wants to go deconvert them.
Well, the reason I asked that way is because that was a question about an individual. You're saying, would you be against such a person?
That was a question about an imaginary person, though. And you equivocated.
Okay.
That's interesting to me, though. That makes my heart for you a little bit, because it means something to you. Anyway, let's go next question.
All right.
We'll take this one offline.
I'm gonna skip the next one. It's too similar to the last one. I'll come back to it. So I'm out of order. We'll do palate cleanser here because I need someone to Google this apparently.
Oh.
If Shannon's a thought, does that make Paul a Chad?
Oh, I know what a Chad is.
Oh, I don't know what it is. So
you're not over 6 feet tall, though.
No, I am not.
I think you need to be over 6 feet tall to be a Chad. Oh,
Okay.
but you've had sex with a girl. So I think that does mean that you are a Chad.
Okay.
Based on my incredible lexicon of trad and incel and bocel vocabulary that I've been accumulating.
Yeah, that's an area that actually feeds into this next question.
Okay.
What topics do you avoid at all costs because you don't find them interesting? For example, I don't engage in evolution discussions.
Yeah, well,
that's from Sokka.
Yeah, well, Sokka doesn't find them interesting. Avoid at all costs. I don't think I avoid.
I have one.
Okay, what's yours? You go then. Maybe it'll
definitional arguments. I do not care about definitional arguments.
Yeah. So, hard atheist, soft atheist, Gnostic atheist, agnostic atheist, agnostic. I'm sorry, where's Steve? Agnostic atheist is a contradiction. I'm sorry. Holy fuck, don't spam my channel, Steve.
Yeah.
So,
the other day I let SJ, for example, I'm sure she's long since stopped watching, but she wanted to call me agnostic. I'm like, great, go for it. That's what I am. Now can we move on to what we were talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I don't live my life as if there are any gods. So whatever you want to call that.
Fine. Let's move on. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and argue semantics with you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna second that. Yes. Yeah, and not because I don't find it interesting, but because I find it unnecessary and infuriating. Like if I'm in a conversation with somebody and we're talking about, a topic that's of interest, if we spend the first 45 minutes deciding how we're defining ourselves, that drives me crazy. Like, just ask me what I believe, and if I say I don't believe that there is a God, and if to you that makes me a unicorn, then fine, I'm a unicorn. So long as the definition of unicorn is that I don't believe in any gods.
Right. Yeah.
Now, as you see it. Now let's move on to the topic at hand. It's like, don't try to tell me what I am and argue with me about what I like, to the point that I'll just concede. I'll just be like, sure, fine, all right, you win, whatever. Yeah, okay, that's what I am. Let's go.
In fact, I think your second video was about labels.
Yeah, I checked the label.
Yeah. All right.
There's a love letter to Steve McRae.
This would be to Austin, and it's a weird one for me. But anyway, what advice do you have for a parent whose child goes to church against their other parents' wishes?
Oh, God. Okay. Oh, dear Lord. Oh, Guy. Oh, I don't like this question.
Well, we can skip it. But
I don't like this question.
I mean, all I would say is that that's my reality, right? Like, so my kids go to church, and I wish they didn't. And I have chosen to be as accommodating as possible. I sometimes drive them. I don't know if this is the right answer, but I feel like they have autonomy, as Shannon was talking about before, and they deserve, if that's what their choice is, that if I'm going to be consistent, that I need to allow them, even though it angers me and makes me very sad that they would go. So I say you kind of have to let them. Forbidding anyone from doing anything is not a good way.
It's a quick way to get them to do it.
Right.
That's exactly. For sure.
So that said, if anyone else has advice for me, I'm up for it, because it's a really hard position to be in. As I recognize, it would be the opposite. I recognize that me leaving is very hard on my parents, and that they don't know how to deal with that. So I get anytime that there's people that love each other, and there is something as corely fundamental where there's a disagreement, it's gonna be hard.
Yeah. No, I would agree with you. I mean, you can't stand in the way. And also, I mean, your children are of the age of reason as well, too, right? So
right.
It's their decision. You know, you stepping on that decision is just going to create conflict between them. Are you trying to impinge upon them making that free choice? That's just going to create unnecessary conflict. I mean, you could do what you can to foster dialogue with them that helps them to understand why that isn't a choice that you make anymore, and why it affects you that it's a choice that they make. But even that is difficult, based and very much relationship based. So it all depends on,
So here's, I guess I'm trying to put myself in other families that I know, and I'm thinking of kids that are younger than mine, perhaps.
Right.
I do feel like if you are in a relationship with if the two parents are in a relationship and they don't agree on theology, that honestly it really should be up to the kids. Like, I also think that if you're the atheist parent and you have a kid that hates going to church and doesn't believe it, and the other parent keeps dragging them there, I feel like that's probably a conversation you've got to have. Is it was at some point you have to respect
the child's choice,
the wishes of the kid, even if they're little. So in my situation, the children are very willingly going. But if the children, if it probably in all cases, whatever the child's wishes are probably what should be respected.
We should probably, how about 15 minutes? We've been at this for almost 2 hours.
I know. I think we was going to say we should probably.
Yeah. So like 15 minutes and then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if this is a real question or not.
Well, let's find out.
Weedy asks, my fundamental grandma keeps trying to do an exorcism on my dog. How do I handle this?
Let her do it. Screw it.
I think so too. I think the dog doesn't care, as long as the dog gets. Let me say, if the dog is getting snacks out of it in some way,
videotape it, put it on YouTube.
Videotape it. Also, my dog is out of control. So if it works,
Bella could use an exorcism. Actually, if it does work, yeah, give Paulo a call.
Yeah, give me a call.
That shit crazy.
I don't even know where my dog is right now.
She's now actually. I probably just.
Oh, she's napping. She's napping behind me. You guys
because I probably just jinxed it. Like Bella is usually bananas. Yeah. Is there any more?
Yeah. There's a personal invitation to have you do a JMD Apologetics would like to chat with you online somewhere. You guys can figure that out.
Oh, I like him. John's nice.
Yeah.
John's been on here a couple of times.
I lost it.
Get your shit together.
Yeah, every once in a while it decides to refresh to the bottom. Oh, okay. Well, all right, here you go. Fuck, marry, kill.
Ah! Who are my choices?
Eric Hovind, Ray Comfort, and Bodie Hodge.
Okay. Fuck, marry, kill. Okay. Okay. God, this is hard. I'd have to marry Bodie because he seems like I feel like he would be I don't know, at least a bland husband that I could tolerate. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's not going to be all obnoxious in my face all the time.
That's true.
Yeah.
The other two would be insufferable to live with. I guess. Right. I would. Yeah.
I would rage fuck Eric Hovind, I think, if I had to.
Oh, wow.
Between Ray Comfort and Eric Hovind, I mean, who are you, like?
Well, I would say Ray Comfort, I think, is the least likely to actually be physically capable
of actually fucking somebody.
Yeah, and so that might be the choice, because it would just end with, a lot of apologizing. I think it would just end with a lot of apologizing.
Okay.
This never happens to me. Okay, right, all right, whatever.
But what if he is, though? Then I'd have to.
Also, I think, though, killing Eric. Well, I don't know.
Killing Ray Comfort is just. This is an awful question. Oh my god! If somebody took a sound bite off.
That's why I stopped myself. All right. Well.
Oh god.
I think we got by proxy what your answers are for that one.
Yeah, I think we know. Yeah, I think everybody has the gist of those. None of those are good choices. There is no good answer to that question.
Brant wants to know, what does define mean?
What does define?
Yeah, what does define mean?
Like the word define?
Yes. That was a clever question.
That is define, yeah.
Yeah.
How do you define the word define? Setting the parameters for an understanding of something. Is that?
Yeah, it's explaining what a words mean, explaining what a word or phrase means. But I think they're going for the wordplay, and I enjoyed it. I'm thinking about capturing the live stream of my local Calgary church. Hey, welcome, Calgary people, to debunk my old pastor. Good idea. It's right from their website.
Sure. Do it. Just make sure that you know if you plan on doing it on YouTube, make sure that you know a lot about, fair use. And understand that it could be flagged. But yeah, I don't see a problem with it.
There's absolutely no problem. In fact, I think it's a great idea. Yeah. I think where you might run into issues is more, might you possibly alienate people by people if you are doing a video.
If they know, you could. Not everybody is as blatant as you and I about using our actual first names and showing our faces.
That's by accident. I never planned to do it this way, but
Ken Ham docs the shit out of you.
Yeah, Ken Ham did that. Thanks, Ken.
That was a fun day. You're disgruntled.
No, I think there's actually. I mean, I actually am. One of my upcoming videos is I'm going to be going through a pamphlet from my home church that I grew up in. Specifically, I'm choosing it because it's like, well, this is what my home church believes, and so let's talk about it. So I think it's a good idea. I think you need to handle it with a little bit of grace and a little bit less attacking than you might do if it was someone you didn't have any connections to.
Yeah, that's fair, because if somebody comes across it, you want to be able to make sure that you don't have a hard conversation. Also, if you're trying to reach out to theists as opposed to embolden other atheists, your approach needs to be more measured. You need to make sure that you engage it respectfully and honestly, or it won't be listened to. If they feel like you're being dismissive, they'll just shut up.
Is ghost satanic like the anti-pope? I feel like that may be a weird out of context. Maybe that was part of a bigger chat. If you mean ghost, the bad person, the antagonist in Ant-Man, then no. I don't really know. You capitalized ghost, so I don't know what that means.
I don't know. The movie Ghost? I don't understand the context of the question.
Yeah, I don't either. Sorry for the asker of that question. And I think are we out of questions now?
Are we out of questions?
We can wrap it up.
All right. We did it.
We did it.
We didn't kill each other. High five. Good job, guys.
Actually, here's a good one. Actually, sorry, I did miss one. What do you think of YouTube, Twitter atheists contacting and harassing Christian employers?
I think stop that shit. You don't
never okay.
Like that. Don't do it. You want somebody to do it to you? Don't do it to other people. That dirty pool. Stop. Yeah. Don't be a dick.
The only time you should be contacting anyone is if you see anyone, and I don't care what they do, doing something that is endangering others, and then you should be contacting authorities, not
or inciting violence towards others.
But never that person's employer, like that.
No, like, authorities. Yeah.
That yeah.
Yeah, just bad form. Bad form. Get over yourself. Find something better to do with your time. You need a hobby. That's what I would say. Get a hobby. Right. Stop being a dick.
Craig Reed is telling me to wrap it up. So
Craig's had enough of our shit. Yep. Hey, Craig, why did you have 72 live streams on my subscription feed yesterday? Craig. Oh my God, that was funny. I was like, how many live streams can Craig have for 15 seconds?
Yeah.
Bless Craig's heart. Love Craig.
All right, so I guess we'll take that response as to wrap it up.
Craig says we're done, guys. Have a good night. Bye, guys. Thanks, chat.